First thing we're going to do for this problem is change both of these to improper fractions or fractions greater than 1. So this one is 6 times 2 is 12 plus 1 is 13. So that becomes 13 over 2 plus this one is already a fraction greater than 1, 5 over 4. The common denominator for 2 and 4 would be 8. So this first fraction, 13 over 2, well, how do I go from 2 to 8 in the denominator? Don't forget the plus sign. 2 to 8 is times 4, so 13 times 4. If you don't know it, you could do it off on the side of the page, so 4 times 13. Sorry, it's so sloppy, I'm using my mouse. I don't have my stylus with me today. 4 times 3 is 12, carry the 1. 4 times 1 is 4 plus 1 is 5. So that would be 52 over 8. This one I would double it, times 2. So 5 times 2 is 10. All right. As I like to remind students, what I'm doing when I write it this way is I'm saying this fraction is equal to 13 over, this mixed number is equal to 13 over 2, which is equal to 52 over 8. And this fraction, 5 over 4, is obviously equal to itself, 5 over 4, which is equal to 10 over 8. And as I add them, I get 62, 52 plus 10 is 62, over 8. That's an ugly 2. Well, let me change that. 62 over 8. So how many times does 8 go into 62? Well, 8 times 8 is too much. That's 64. So 8 times 7 is 56. So 7 with a remainder of what? 6 left over. So 7 and 6 over 8, which can be simplified to 7 and 6 and 8. 2 goes into both, so 2 goes into 6 3 times. 2 goes into 4, 2 goes into 8 4 times. On the test, I would obviously prefer this answer, but I also would accept this answer, as we're just starting to learn it. So 7 and 6/8, which is equal to 7 and 3/4. Next one, 2 and 1/3 plus 1 and 3/10. So 2 and 1/3 is equal to 2 times 3 is 6, plus 1 is 7/3, plus 1 and 3/10 is equal to 1 times 10 is 10, plus 3 is 13, 13 over 10. The least common multiple of these denominators, 3 and 10, is 30. So I would put 30 as my common denominator. All right, how do we get to 30? Well, here I would multiply the denominator times 10. So 3 times 10 is 30. So I would take the numerator, multiply that times 10, and I get 70. Here, I would multiply the denominator times 3. 10 times 3 is 30. So I would take the numerator, 13 times 3, which is 39. Before I add them, just want to highlight this right here, 2 and 1/3 is the same as 7/3, is the same as 70/30. 1 and 3/10 is the same as 13 over 10, is the same as 39 over 30. So now that I have them all ready to go, I can add them up. 70 plus 39, well, 70 plus 30 is 100, so 9 more than that would be 109 over 30. All right, well, how many times does 30 go into 109? Well, 3 times 30 is 90. 4 times 30 is too much, it's 120. So it would be, actually, let's do it this way, just so you guys can see. 109 divided by 30. So 30 goes into 109 how many times? Well, that would be 3 times. 3 times 30 is 90, which leaves me a remainder of 9 minus 0 is 9. That becomes a 0. This becomes a 10. 10 minus 9 is 1. So it's 3 with a remainder of 19. Now, what does that mean in this case? Well, it goes in 3 whole times with a remainder of 19 over what's our original denominator? 30. So that would be 3 and 19 over 30. Next question. 2 1/2 plus 1 7/10. So 2 1/2, 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5. That's 5 over 2. Plus 1 7/10. 1 times 10 is 10, plus 7 is 17. So 17 over 10. My common denominators for 2 and 10 would be, the least common denominator is 10. So what am I multiplying 2 by to get to 10? Multiplying it by 5. So I'm going to take this numerator, multiply it by 5, and it gives me 25. What am I multiplying 10 by to get to 10? Well, just 1, it's itself. So 17 times 1 is just 17. All right. I'm going to start with the fraction on the right, just to kind of point something out. 1 7/10 is equal to 17 over 10, which obviously would equal itself 17 over 10. Now let's go to the one on the left. 2 1/2 is equal to 5 over 2, which is equivalent to 25 over 10, which means I can now add these because they have a common denominator. So what would this be? Well, 25 plus 17 would be, well, 25 plus 20 is 45. That's 3 too many. So that would be, yeah, 42. All right, so 42 over 10 is equal to, well, 10 goes into 42 4 times, with a remainder of 2 over 10 left over, which I would accept, but I would hope that you'd understand, or I'd hope that you'd know, that 2/10 can be simplified. It's really the same as 4 and 2 goes into itself once, 2 goes into 10 5 times. The preferred answer is 4 1/5, but for now I'd be okay with 4 2/10 as long as you did all the work right. Going to number 4, we have 2 3/4 plus 1 1/12. 2 times 4 is 8, plus 3 is 11. This would be 11 over 4, plus 1 times 12 is 12, plus 1 is 13. That would be 13 over 12. Common denominator for 4 and 12, or the least common denominator that they both share, would be 12. So this is something over 12 plus something over 12. All right, what do I multiply 4 by to get to 12? I multiply it by 3. So I'm going to take the numerator. 11 times 3 is 33. What do I multiply 12 by to get to 12? Just 1. So 13 times 1 would be 13/12, which should make sense that 13/12 would just equal itself, 13/12. All right. My typical reminder, 2 3/4 is equal to 11 over 4, which is equal to 33 over 12. 1 1/12 is equal to 13/12, which is obviously equal to itself, 13/12. So when I add these together now, I will get the following. fix my pen here. So 33 plus 13 is 46 over 12 goes, or sorry, 12 is the denominator. So 46 over 12. All right, well, how many times does 12 go into 36? Well, 46. 12 goes into 46. Let's see. 1 times 12 is 12, 2 times 12, 24, 3 times 12, 36, 4 times 12, 48. So it's too much. So it would be 3 whole times. 3 goes times 12 is 36, so 46 minus 36 would leave us a remainder of 10 over 12. Well, 3 and 10/12, which I would accept, is equal to, how many times does 3, excuse me, what goes into both 10 and 12? That would be 2, so this would be 3 wholes. And 10/12 can simplify to 5 over 6. So this would be the preferred answer. This would be the acceptable answer. I do want to point out something here. So let's say you recognized 46 over 12 can be simplified. I can look at that and say, I know a number that goes into both 46 and 12, and that number would be, let's see, 2. 2 goes into 46 23 times. 2 goes into 12 6 times. So now I can change this 23 over 6 to a mixed number. Well, 6 goes into 23 how many times? Well, 6 times 4 is too much. So 6 times 3 is 18, so 3 whole times, with a remainder of, what's 23 minus 18? That would be 5. So remainder 5 over 6. So as you can see, you will get the same answer whether you do it this way or this way, 3 and 5/6. But if you know to simplify here, you're going to be working with smaller numbers. Once again, 3 and 10/12 is completely acceptable. Number 5, we're adding 4/5 plus 1 and 7/15. Well, 4/5 is a proper fraction, so I'm just going to write that as 4/5 plus 1 and 7/15. Well, 1 times 15 is 15, plus 7 is 22, so this would be 22 over 15. The smallest common multiple of 5 and 15 is 15, so I would put this as something over 15. Ugh, that's an ugly 5. Over something over 15. So 5 times what gives me 15? That would be 3, so 4 times 3 is 12. 5 times 1 would give me 15, so 22 times 1 would give me 22. Once again, it should make sense that 22 over 15 would equal itself, 22 over 15. All right, so just as a little reminder, 4/5 goes with 4/5 goes with 12/15, just like 1 and 7/15 goes with 22 over 15. They're equal to each other. And obviously 22 over 15 is equal to 22 over 15. So when we add these up, what do we get? We get, let's change our pen here. 12 plus 22 is 34 over 15. Well, how many times does 15 go into 34? Well, 15 times 2 is 30, so it's 2 whole times, with a remainder of 4 over this denominator right here, 4 over 15. So here there's only one real answer. There's nothing to simplify at the end. So now the next 6 problems, or next 5 problems, are going to be subtractions, but the steps are really the same. 3.5 minus 3/4. So 3 and 1/2 is the same as 2 times 3. 3 times 2 is 6, plus 1 is 7. 7 over 2 minus 3/4. the best common denominator for 2 and 4 would equal 4. So 7 over 2 is going to equal something over 4. 3/4 is going to equal something over 4. Well, let's write that in. That's easy. 3/4 is going to equal 3/4. Right? Nothing to really do there. But 7 over 2 would be what over 4? Well, 2 times 2 is 4. So I'm going to take this numerator, 7, multiply it by 2, and get 14. My every time reminder, 3.5 is equal to 7 over 2 is equal to 14 over 4. And 3/4 is equal to 3/4 is equal to 3/4. So now we have common denominators here. 14 over 4 minus 3 over 4. Let's do the math here. 14 minus 3 is 11 over, denominator stays at 4. How many times does 4 go into 11? Well, it goes in 2 whole times. 2 times 4 is 8. So 11 minus 8 is 3. So the remainder is 3 over 4. So the answer to this one is 2 and 3/4. Number 7. Let's go with red this time. 6 1/2 minus 2 1/5. Well, 6 1/2 is 13 over 2. Kind of went quickly there. I didn't really explain why. 6 times 2 is 12, plus 1 is 13. 13 over 2 minus 2 1/5 is equal to 2 times 5 is 10, plus 1 is 11. That would be 11 over 5. Common denominator here for 2 and 5 would be 10. So something over 10 minus something else over 10. What do I multiply 2 by to get to 10? Well, 2 times 5 equals 10. So I'm going to take the numerator here, 13, multiply that times 5, which would be 65. 5 times what gives me 10? 5 times 2. So 11 times 2 is 22. So a little highlighter reminder, 6 1/2 is equal to 13 over 2 is equal to 65 over 10. Just like 2 1/5 is equal to 11 over 5 is equal to 22 over 10. So if I subtract now, what do I get? Well, 65 minus 22 is equal to, let's see, I'm going to do that over here. 65 minus 22, little scrap area. 5 minus 2 is 3. 6 minus 2 is 4. So that would be 43 over 10. Well, let's change that to a mixed number. 10 goes into 43 4 times. So that would be 40. So my remainder is 3 over 10. Right? 10 goes into 43 4 times. 43 minus 40 is this 3 with a remainder of 3. So 4 and 3 remaining with 10 as the denominator. Sorry if I sounded a little confusing there. If you need, we can rewind me and kind of look at that again. All right, number 8. 2 5/6 minus 2 1/2. All right, well, 2 5/6 is equal to 2 times 6 is 12, plus 5 is 17. That's 17 over 6 minus 2 1/2. 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5. 5 over 2. Common denominator for 6 and 2 would be 6. So, what do I multiply 6 by to get to 6? Well, just 1, so it stays the same. So 17 times 1 is 17. What do I multiply 2 by to get to this denominator of 6? 2 times 3. So I would take this and multiply it by 3, 5 times 3 is 15. So I end up with, well, actually, before I even add them, I want to clear up this 2 and 5/6 is equal to 17 over 6, which is clearly equal to itself, 17 over 6. And 2.5 is equal to 5 over 2, which is equal to 15 over 6. So now that we have these common denominators, subtracting should be very easy. 17 minus 15 is 2 over 6. All right. Now I would hope that you would understand that 2/6 is not in simplest form. There's a number that goes into both 2 and 6, and that number is 2. 2 goes into itself one time. 2 goes into 6 3 times. So this fraction simplifies to 1/3, but I can understand if you did all this work and got to 2/6, I'd be actually okay with it, but 1/3 is the preferred answer. Next problem, 7 2/3 minus 5 1/5. All right, this one's going to have some work to do, but you'll see in the end it's actually not so bad. 7 times 3 is 21, plus 2 is 23 over 3. Minus 5 times 5 is 25, plus 1 is 26 over 5. All right. What is the common denominator for 3 and 5? Well, it would be 15. So this would be something over 15, and this would be something over 15. Well, 3 times what gives me 15? It would be 3 times 5. So 23 times 5, well, let's say you don't know it. So I'm going to have a little scrap area here because there are some numbers that we're going to work with. I'm going to call this my scrap area. All right. So 23 times 5 is what we're trying to get. 5 times 23. Sorry for my handwriting. Like I said, I'm using my mouse to write with. 5 times 3 is 15. Carry the 1. 5 times 2 is 10, plus 1 is 11. So that would be 115 over 15. I need to multiply 5 times what to give me 15? That would be 3. So I need to multiply the numerator times 3. So 3 times 26. All right, let's see what that comes out to be. 3 times 6 is 18. Carry the 1. 3 times 2 is 6. Plus 1 is 7. So that would be 78. All right, so we have some bigger numbers here. I'm not going to lie. That happens sometimes. All right, but before I subtract, let's just make sure we know. 7 2/3 is equal to 23 over 3 is equal to 115 over 15. If you don't know why, go back and rewind and look at the work. 5 1/5 is equal to 26 over 5, which is equal to 78 over 15. All right, so now we know that our numerator is going to be whatever 115 minus 78 is, and we're going to put that over 15. So I'm going to extend the page. I'm going to use my little scrap area to do this work. 115 minus 78. All right, so what do we have here? 5 minus 8 I can't do, so I'm going to regroup here. That becomes 0. That becomes 15. 15 minus 8 is 7. All right, can't do 0 minus 7, so I'm going to take from there, regroup. 10 minus 7 is 3. So now I have 37 over 15. All right, 37 over 15, not so bad at this point. 15 goes into 37, well, how many times? Well, 2 times 15 is 30, so that would be 2 whole times. With a remainder of, well, 37 minus 30 is 7, so 2 and 7 over 15. I know there was a lot of calculation there, and going to try to give you some smaller numbers to work with on the actual quiz, but I wanted to throw one in there that, took some larger numbers for you to get the right answer. 2 and 7/15. All right, let's go to the last problem. The last problem is 1 and 1/8 minus 3/10. So 1 and 1/8 would be 9/8. Minus 3/10 would just be, well, it's already a fraction, so 3/10. A good common denominator for these two would be what? Some people would say 8 times 10 is 80, but there's a smaller one, 40. 40 is a common multiple of both 8 and 10, and that's the one I would use. So from 8 to 40, I would multiply by 5. So if I multiply the denominator times 5, I have to multiply the numerator times 5 to get an equivalent fraction. So that would be 45 over 40. Here, to get from 10 to 40 as my denominator, I would multiply by 4. So 3 times 4 is 12. Excuse me. So now I have, oh, okay, hold on. Gotta do my little highlighter thing. 1 and 1/8 is equal to 9 over 8 is equal to 45 over 40. Just like 3/10 is equal to 3/10 is equal to 12 over 40. Now that we have common denominators, we can do our subtraction. 45 minus 12 is 33. Over 40 is our denominator. It stays our denominator. 33 over 40. I hope that you found this helpful. Have a great day.